What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So let's start this video with 8 weeks out physique update from Florian Poirson. So after so many years, the man finally got up on that stage, looking like an open bodybuilder, to do a guest posing. And I must say, those quads are just out of this world. So ever since Florian made that switch back, from Classic to the Men's Open, he has made some tremendous progress. But it is pretty evident that his legs grew the most. So he was touching 300 pounds just a few weeks ago, and that clearly shows right here on his physique. Although I do feel like that his legs are kind of making his upper half a bit out of balance here. But let's wait and see until he dives down and steps on this year's Cali Pro stage, which by the way is gonna be his comeback show. Now some of the biggest names in the men's open bodybuilding, they are gonna be there at this upcoming Cali Pro. Simply because from the Pittsburgh Pro to the New York Pro and Cali Pro, there is a gap of just 1 week in all of these shows. And you can expect majority of the guys to do all of these shows because they are scheduled so close to each other. So Florian making his way back in the open bodybuilding after 5 years, and that too in a very competitive show, that is gonna be a huge challenge. But the man has got some insane genetics, and I just cannot help but say, if Florian, he would have stayed in the Men's Open, he could have been a multiple times Olympian by now. And that is just based on the crazy look that he brought at his pro debut, and that was way back in 2019 at Portugal Pro. Now I know times have changed, and so has the competition, which has only gotten better. That being said, this is a comeback worth waiting for. So Hosstile has just dropped some new merchandise, and all the Hosstile supplements and the products, they are tagged in this video. Click the arrow down below and use the code Fazi10 to get 10% extra discount. Jose Manuel aka Josema Beast looking absolutely skinless. 6 weeks out of this year's Pittsburgh Pro. That is just insanity right there. Now we all know he has that champion mentality, but he should definitely jump into an earlier show before Pittsburgh as a guarantee to lock his Olympia spot. Because the way this guy is looking right now, he can walk onto the stage and win shows in just a matter of 24 to 48 hours. Because at this point, it is all about water manipulation and carbs manipulation. Now Jose does have some very powerful shots. He probably has one of the best backs in the entire classic physique division right now. And even in this update, that back relaxed pose, that doesn't even make any sense. It just isn't normal for a guy who is just 23 years old to have such a crazy back development. So dense, so mature. So Josema is gonna be entering this year's Pittsburgh Pro as a legitimate contender. But we have to keep in mind, he's fighting a guy like Terence Sofin. But that being said, he was top 6 from the Olympia last year. And that was just his first ever Miss Olympia. And the man did beat a number of very good guys. So 2 of the biggest names in classic physique, they will be missing this year, Chris Bumstead and Brion. So all these guys, including Josema Beast, they will be looking to move up at least a couple of more spots. Now with Josema Beast starting his career as a men's open bodybuilder, I don't think there will ever be an instance where Josema comes in off, because he has to suffer super hard to make the weight in classic. And the man literally has no fat to lose, even at 6 weeks out. Next up, we have an update from Roman Fritz. So this guy is the definition of not giving up, because this is his physique after 4th hip replacement surgery. So the man is upwards of 270 pounds today in this update, in the rebuilding phase, and he's determined to get back on the stage this year. So Roman has not competed since the end of 2023. And for those of you guys who do not know, that year was so wild for Roman, as he competed almost 10 times in 1 calendar year. And his genetics are just freaking insane, in the aspect that how long can he stay on diet and continue to be shredded show after show. Because that was the story of Roman in 2023. He was one of the most shredded guy in every single show that he did. He simply could not win more than one, because his upper body, that isn't as big or muscular enough for his humongous quads. So there was a moment from the Olympia back in 2023 when Roman stood next to Derek Lansford, the Olympia champion that year, and that comparison showed how awesome Roman is in terms of his legs development. But I have got to say, to be very honest, the Olympia qualification for a guy like Roman, especially now, that is gonna be extremely difficult, especially during the summers. And maybe he will have a better shot doing a show closer to the Olympia this year, or maybe in the post-Olympia tour, because these upcoming ones, they are gonna be absolutely stacked. Next up, we have the latest physique update from Sergio Oliva Jr., less than 2 weeks out of his comeback show after almost 2 years. And this is gonna be at the first ever FIBO Germany. So what kind of a mindset will Sergio Oliva Jr. have going into his comeback show after knowing and watching what William Bonac is capable of? The legend who is now 42 years old, and he just won Detroit Pro in a very comprehensive fashion. Just for the record, there has been only one time Sergio competed in the same lineup as William Bonac, and that was way back in 2018, where Sergio was unable to place and William Bonac was top 5 that year. So looking at the most recent physique update by Sergio, you can see that whatever plan his coach Stefan has made for him, it is definitely working. His midsection, his waistline, that has never looked this good. At least that wasn't the case as far as I can remember. And that is gonna be his biggest weapon against a guy like William Bonac, who has a very wide midsection. Now Sergio's quads, they are looking big and full, and his conditioning from the front, that also looks so insane. But we know bodybuilding is judged by whom you stand next to, and Bonac has some of the biggest legs out there. Now interestingly, both these guys, William Bonac and Sergio, they are being coached by same guy, Stefan. And there is just no possible scenario in which Sergio beats William Bonac, especially the Bonac that we saw yesterday at Detroit Pro. Because if he does that, that makes Sergio a contender for a top 7 or a top 8 Olympia finish this year. Now I'm happy that Sergio is finally gonna be back on the stage, and this year he should definitely do more than one show. So after giving his physique some much deserved rest, Akim Williams is back in the gym, very hungry to make some improvements during this offseason. So looking back at his decision of continuing to diet for that post-Olympia tour and winning the big man weekend, 10 weeks after the Olympia, securing his Olympia spot for the year ahead, that seems like a very good call. Because as of right now, it seems like that all the shows coming ahead, they are gonna be absolutely stacked. So the next stop for Akim, that is most probably gonna be the Olympia in October this year. Because he spent most part of last year dieting and on prep. And that was the case all the way till this year's Arnold. So Akim did a total of 6 shows in 2024. And unlike his reputation with some of his previous coaches, he was on for almost each and every one of those shows. So him and William Bonac, they were pretty close at this year's Arnold, and Akim placed top 6, which obviously wasn't what he was aiming for. But with Brandon Curry coming back so strong, it was a difficult lineup for a guy like Akim to crack top 4, because that was his target. So why has Akim not been able to challenge all these top guys, although he's bringing rock solid conditioning every single time? He has the size, he has the muscularity, he has the shape, and even after years and years of getting bigger, he still has amazing shape and a very small waistline. So the only reason he cannot crack top 6 at the Olympia, that might be his back, and that just isn't as good as his front. So Akim will be prepping for the Olympia this year with a firm belief that he can move up his Olympia placings. He was back into that top 10 last year. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.